In Chapter 3, we're going to look at the market, the competitive market. We studied a little bit about that when we looked at the mathematics of microeconomics. Now we're going to look at the components of the market in a little more detail. The first market component is demand. Demand is Demand is an ordering of all of the consumers in the market, and they are ranked from the highest to the lowest. So these people would pay the most for the good, and these people would pay the least for the good. So this is every single individual consumer in the market in order. That's the definition of the demand curve. The suppliers are the producers of the good, and the supply curve is a graphical representation of all of the sellers in order, ranked from the least cost seller to the most expensive seller. So the supply line, the supply curve, is a linear line. Supply curve in the graph represents all the sellers in the market for that good. The sellers and the demanders come together in the market and they reach an equilibrium price. The price set in the market is P star, and Q star goods are produced and sold and purchased. The total revenue earned by the sellers is price times quantity. The consumers were willing to pay this higher amount than the market price P star. So P star is down here, and the consumers were willing to pay these maximum prices, but they didn't have to pay them because under the law of one price, the market set one price and all the consumers could purchase at that price. Accordingly, the consumers have a bunch of money that they would have willingly spent on the good, but didn't have to. So they retain that money. We call those surplus benefits retained by the consumers consumer surplus. Similarly, the producers, the sellers, were willing to sell at a lower price than was set in the market. The market set P star as the price, and the sellers were willing to sell for less. So they were paid more than they needed to be paid to come to market. We call this excess amount that the sellers were given over and above their minimum amount producer surplus, and it's this triangular area here. So this triangle is the excess amount of money that the sellers were provided by the law of one price in the competitive market. So we have three basic areas: consumer surplus, producer surplus, and total revenue, as we reviewed in the Math of Micro section. This is a little bit of the background of the meaning of these individual spaces.